You know that moment when the world tilts just a little, and everything you thought was solid starts cracking beneath your feet? That's how it began for me. Right there in the middle of our family's annual 4th of July blowout. The air was thick with the smell of grilled burgers and fresh-cut grass. Kids laughing as they chased fireflies that weren't even out yet. And me, Emily Harper, 34, nursing a cold iced tea under the shade of an old maple tree. I'd always been the quiet fixer in our clan, the one who showed up early to set up chairs, stayed late to clean up messes, and never asked for a damn thing in return. As a social worker in downtown Hartford, I spent my days untangling other people's chaos. But at home, I faded into the wallpaper, content to let the spotlight shine on flashier souls. That day, though, the spotlight found me. And it burned. Grandma Victoria, our family's unshakable matriarch at 83, stood on the back porch of her century-old colonial house in suburban Fairfield, tapping her spoon against a glass of sparkling water. The chatter died down like a wave receding from the shore, everyone turning to her with that mix of respect and anticipation she always commanded. She'd built her wealth flipping properties after Grandpa passed, turning grief into a real estate empire that kept us all orbiting her like planets around a stern sun. "Listen up, Harpers," she called out, her voice steady despite the years. "I've got something to say about family sticking together." My gut twisted, a familiar knot from years of watching her dole out favors to the ones who knew how to charm her. But then she locked eyes on me. Emily's been grinding away, helping strangers while carrying her own burdens. So I took care of that student loan debt for her, $15,000 wiped clean. No small change, but blood's thicker than water. The yard erupted in claps and whoops, aunts hugging uncles, cousins slapping backs. But I stood there, tea glass slick in my sweating palm, my mind reeling. Student loans? I didn't have any left. I'd paid them off 2 years ago, scraping every overtime shift to do it. No fanfare, no help from anyone. I'd driven a beat-up 2012 Toyota Corolla, bought outright with savings from side gigs, its AC sputtering like an old man with a cough. So what the hell was she talking about? Before I could croak out a word, tires crunched on the gravel driveway, head swiveled as a sleek black Audi rolled in, polished to a mirror shine. Out stepped my cousin Brooke, 29, all effortless glamour in her designer maxi dress, dark hair cascading like she'd just stepped off a magazine cover. She dangled a set of keys like a trophy, beaming that megawatt smile that had always gotten her out of jams. Sorry for the tardy entrance, folks. Traffic was a nightmare. But check out my new ride, finally upgraded from that junker. The pieces slammed together in my head like a car crash I couldn't look away from. Brooke, the family's free spirit. The one who flitted from gig to gig, event coordinator 1 month, aspiring influencer the next, always landing on her feet thanks to a wink and a sob story. She'd been my shadow growing up, borrowing clothes she'd forget to return, copying my notes in college while I pulled all-nighters. But this was no petty grab. As the applause shifted to her, oohing over the Audi's leather interior and tech gadgets, I felt a cold rage uncoil in my chest. Slow and venomous. Grandma enveloped her in a hug, cooing about perfect timing. Brooke's eyes met mine over Grandma's shoulder, a flicker of something sharp. Not quite smug, but close enough to make my skin crawl. She knew. And she was betting on my silence. My lifelong habit of swallowing hurt to keep the peace. I excused myself to the house, legs heavy as lead, the party's buzz fading behind me like a bad dream. Up in Grandma's office, a room frozen in time with mahogany desks and faded photos of our lineage, I sank into the worn leather chair and fired up my laptop. Credit check first. The report loaded. And there it was, a fresh student loan for $40,000. Opened 4 weeks back in my name. Tied to my social security number. But it didn't stop there. Scrolling down. The hits kept coming, 3 maxed-out credit cards from stores I'd never set foot in. A personal line of credit for $12,000. Even a medical financing account for cosmetic procedures. Total damage, $65,000. My score, meticulously built over a decade of frugal living, had tanked by 130 points. I stared at the screen. Breath shallow. The betrayal sinking in like acid on skin. 5 years of quiet theft. Starting right after I landed my first job. Brooke had been dipping into my identity like it was her personal ATM. All while smiling at family dinners. Toasting my hard work. My sister Clara burst in. Her face etched with worry, she'd seen me bolt. What the? I shoved the laptop her way. And her eyes widened as she pieced it together. Clara, the fiery lawyer from Boston, wasn't one for restraint. That bitch. We're marching out there right now. But I held her back. My voice a whisper laced with steel. Not yet. I need proof. I need to know how deep this goes. We huddled there, digging through old emails and bank statements on my phone. The education trust Grandpa set up for us grandkids, $30,000 each for college, mine had been siphoned dry years ago. Withdrawals I never made. Timed perfectly so Grandma would replenish it without question. Another $18,000 gone. Brooke had played the long game. Exploiting my reliability. Knowing I'd never make a fuss. Back at the party. The sun dipped lower, casting long shadows that mirrored the darkness brewing in me. I moved through the crowd like a ghost, refilling plates, nodding at chit-chat. But inside, fury simmered, a slow burn of humiliation and rage. Brooke held court by the fire pit, regaling uncles with tales of her killer deal on the Audi. Saved up for months, she lied smoothly, her laugh tinkling like broken glass. Grandma pulled me aside later, her hand warm on my arm. I hope you're not mad I didn't tell you sooner. Dear. Brooke mentioned how stressed you were with those loans, too proud to ask for help. I wanted to surprise you. There it was, Brooke's script. Painting her as the caring cousin. Me as the stubborn martyr. I forced a smile. Tasting bile. That's thoughtful. But the trap was clear. Grandma had wired $15,000 directly to the lender, making her an unwitting partner in the scam. Reporting it now would drag her into the mess. And Brooke was counting on my loyalty to keep quiet. That night, back in my cramped apartment in New Haven, Clara and I mapped it out over cheap wine and takeout. We froze my credit, changed every password, compiled a dossier of fraud alerts. But sleep evaded me, the silence amplifying the echoes of betrayal. How many times had I covered for Brooke? Lent her money she'd forget, ignored the red flags because family was supposed to forgive? The hurt twisted deeper, not just the money, but the violation of trust. The way she'd weaponized my invisibility. By morning, resolve hardened. This wasn't ending with a quiet fix. She'd pay, but on my terms, with the full weight of exposure. I started small, gathering ammo. A call to the Audi dealership confirmed it, loan in my name. Co-signed by Grandma during a family visit Brooke orchestrated. Such a sweet gesture, the salesman gushed. Elder abuse layered on identity theft, federal territory now. Then Nora, my financial advisor friend, helped trace more, boutique charges, spa bills, even a vacation rental in the Hamptons. All on my dime. The total climbed to $92,000. Each discovery fueled the fire, turning quiet resentment into a calculated storm. I didn't confront Brooke yet. I let her stew in her false security, watching from afar as she posted selfies in her new car on social media. Oblivious. The breaking point came 2 weeks later at a family brunch Grandma hosted. Tension hummed in the air like electricity before thunder. Brooke arrived late. Keys jingling. That same Audi parked brazenly out front. I waited until coffee was poured, then slid my folder across the table. We need to talk. Her face paled as she flipped through the evidence, statements, reports, even screenshots of her posts time-stamped with fraudulent purchases. Grandma's eyes widened in horror. What is this? Brooke stammered. This is a mistake, but I cut her off. Voice low and unyielding. No more lies. You stole my identity. You dragged Grandma into your fraud. And now, you confess. Or I call the cops. The room exploded, accusations flying. Aunt Lorraine defending her poor stressed girl, uncles muttering about family shame. Brooke crumbled, tears streaming. But they rang hollow. More performance than penitence. She signed the confession Nora drafted, admitting every theft, every manipulation. Grandma, shattered, demanded she return the car. Cut her off financially. But the price? Our family fractured. Holidays turned tense. Whispers followed me like shadows. Emily's too harsh. Couldn't keep it private? I lost sleep to nightmares of courtrooms and ruined credit. Therapy sessions unpacking years of swallowed anger. Brooke vanished into a dead-end job. Bitter texts accusing me of jealousy. But I blocked her, choosing self-preservation over reconciliation. Grandma gifted me a rental property in Westport, a duplex worth $350,000 as amends. But it felt tainted. A reminder of the empire built on blind favoritism. Months later, standing on its balcony overlooking the Sound, I felt the weight of it all. Revenge hadn't healed the scars, it exposed them. Raw and ugly. The silence I'd broken cost me innocence. But it bought freedom, a life unburdened by betrayal's slow poison. Family gatherings were smaller now. Honest, but hollow. I'd paid the price in isolation. But damn if it wasn't worth it. The river below flowed on. Indifferent. And so did I. Stronger in the wreckage.